Hey everyone, and welcome back to Riding with Rob. Now today we're talking about my number one question that I get, and that's, is this okay to buy off of eBay? What parts can I buy off of eBay? I found this part on eBay, can I buy it? Is it okay? Now listen, the majority of the time I like to tell people, stay away from eBay parts. You're way better off just buying a name brand part. Plain and simple. You want the warranty, you want the name brand behind it. If you have any issues, you have the tech support to call. Buy stuff off of eBay, you don't have that. Also, when you buy things off eBay, sometimes they need to be modified or kind of custom fit, wired in, things like that. You know, a lot of the times they're universal parts, and so they just make it so that way, if you have a little bit of know-how, you'll be able to set it up very nicely. So what I did was I compiled a list of things and parts that are kind of hard to fuck up or that need very, very, very little modification to do. So, and another thing too I kept in mind was bang for the buck. You know, a lot of name brand parts are really expensive, and not all of us can afford it, and that's okay. But we still want to modify our cars, we still want to get more power and performance. I agree. So, I have a top 5 list. And at number 5, we are going to start with catback exhaust systems. Yep, catback exhaust systems. Listen, with a very simple modification, you can make the catback exhaust systems off of eBay reliable and last just as long as your name brand parts. Now, the reason why I say just a catback exhaust system, I'm not including headers and manifolds, is because the exhaust systems that you buy off of eBay are made out of slightly thinner metal. The welds are slightly weaker, and it can end up heat soaking inside your engine bay, or if the welds crack up front, it's really going to affect your performance, especially if you're running a turbocharger. And if you're running a turbocharger and you're using an eBay turbo manifold, sometimes there's little metal shavings in there, get inside your turbo and no more turbo. And it's going to be way more expensive than it would have been for you to buy that name brand part to begin with. However, with the catback exhaust systems, it's okay that it's made out of slightly thinner metal and that they heat soak a little bit more because it's outside the engine bay. It's back there, it's underneath the car, it's getting plenty of air. However, because they're made out of slightly thinner metal, they tend to rust and wear out a lot easier. So, very simply, all you have to do, go down to your local hardware store, auto parts store, whatever, and there's 2 different products you can buy. High heat clear coat, or they have the high heat ceramic coating. Either one of those is fine, whichever's cheaper or whichever one you feel like going with. The ceramic coating is going to be better. It's not going to chip as easily, but you're going to get the same effect. So go ahead, paint them up, a nice thick layer of high heat coating. Let them dry, and probably give them a full day to dry. Make sure it's not even a little bit tacky, because you don't want to burn off that paint. It's going to basically, you know, negate what you just did. It's gonna burn it off, and then you're not gonna be protected. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and give it plenty of time to dry. And also keep in mind it's not going to come with any kind of installation instructions. Now, the reason why I say it's okay is because they're mandrel bent. They're basically carbon copies of the name brand parts. Like I said, they need a high heat coating of some kind to protect them from the elements. Now, also, you have to realize that the mufflers or exhaust outlets, whatever you want to call it, that they come with are not as high quality. They're not there to produce a good sound. They're just there to amplify what your engine sounds like. But because there's so much less, you could go ahead and shell out the money for a name brand muffler, such as an HKS or MagnaFlow or whatever, and effectively you would have the exact same exhaust system as you would if you bought the name brand part, and still be far under cost. You know, the name brand parts are going to cost you $300 to $400. I've seen them upwards of $600. The eBay parts are going to cost you $100 to $200. You throw in the cost of a name brand muffler, $50 to $100. You're way under cost. You're saving a lot of money, and you're going to have a nice part that's long lasting, and that sounds good if you get the muffler done. So that's number 5. Number 4 would have to be slim fans or slim radiator fans. They're hard to fuck up. It's just a fan, it's just a motor. It's a good performance part to have. It cleans up the engine bay. If you're trying to go turbo, you know, it'll free up that extra room in front of the radiator. they flow a lot more air. So it cools the radiator a lot more effectively, and will keep your engine bay actually a little bit cooler as well. Now the reason why it's at number 4 is because a lot of times these slim fans, they don't have the proper connectors on them, or they just have wires coming off of them and you have to wire them into the stock connectors. So you have to have a little bit of wiring knowledge. Now if you've never wired before, make sure you get some practice time in. There's plenty of videos out there of how to solder. You want to make sure you solder the joints, you want to make sure you use heat shrink wrapping on them, and you want to make sure you tape them up very tightly and neatly. But you're going to get the same performance out of them. They're going to cost you between $35 and $50 versus your $100 to $150. So it's a huge savings. They're basically the same part. Maybe they're made in China or something. And they're going to be totally fine. It just takes a little bit of wiring knowledge to put those in. But they're hard to fuck up. At number 3, I would have to say strut tower bars. Strut tower bars are just pieces of metal. I've even seen guys make them in their own garage. They have welders and grinders and stuff, and they make their own. Look, the ones that off of eBay are very cheap. They're hard to fuck up. They're basic. The basic install is no problem. They don't have to be modified to be put in. You don't need to paint them or anything like that. You're going to get the same performance out of them. The metal may be a little bit thinner or a little bit weaker, but really you don't have a lot to worry about there. It's a hard part to fuck up. It's just a bar. It increases the rigidity of your chassis and all that. It's going to improve your handling and may also improve your launch if you're drag racing, things like that. And number 2 is another part that you really can't fuck up, and that's silicone radiator hoses. Look, the ones from like Mishimoto cost upwards of $150. The eBay ones, you're looking at $50 for both of them. And sometimes they'll sell you like the $75 kit where it's got silicone hoses for every coolant hose. Now silicone is good because it doesn't heat soak, it lasts longer, it looks better, and you really can't fuck it up. They give you the option of 2-ply or 3-ply, and there's plenty of different colors out there. Very easy performance part to put on your car, just to give you that little bit of extra cooling, keep your engine bay just that little bit extra cooling, and they look nicer. Hard part to fuck up. My top part would have to be a cold air intake. And the reason why I say cold air intake is just purely based on the ridiculous amount of money that you can save. The last one that I bought off of eBay was $75. $75 for a cold air intake versus what I would have paid, which was $300 for like the Megan or the engine. Now, the eBay ones, they require just a little bit of work when you put them in, but nothing major. First of all, wash them when you get them. I always hear horror stories of people finding little metal shavings that eventually tore up their engine or what have you. Just hot soapy water, just wash it out. You have plenty of time to dry, and you're good to go. Just install it. They don't come with any installation instructions, but because the cold air intakes are carbon copies of the performance part, you can very, very easily download the install instructions for the part that it's copying and follow those instructions to install them. The very last thing with these cold air intakes off of eBay would be the filter. Now, none of the other stuff you had to do has cost you any money so far, unless you had to go out and buy soap. Maybe you did, I don't know. But the filter on them is not high quality. It doesn't flow as much. It doesn't filter as well. However, you can go down to your local auto parts store, pick up a cone filter from K&N for $50 to $75. I mean, in total, you're looking at $150 for a cold air intake versus $300 to $400. I mean, that's such a huge savings. You're shaving off 50% off the cold air intake. And really, what is it? It's just a piece of pipe that illuminates all your vacuum boxes. It makes the airflow smoother. It may have a reduction in it to increase velocity into your engine, and it helps the engine breathe a lot better. It's easier to breathe, it's easier to bring in air, and I mean, that's your basic performance off of cold air intake, but it's such a simple part, it's so hard to fuck up, and it's so easy to make it, you know, just as good as the name brand part, but that's my number one part. Now, bear in mind, when you buy name brand performance parts, the reason why they cost so much, that company put in the time and research. They either bought the car or leased the car that they're, you know, building the part for. They took the time to measure it all out, to make all the proper bends, and do all the research into it. The eBay company, all they did was look at the part and copy it. Plain and simple. It may not fit quite right, or may need just a little bit of tweaking, but it's the same basic part. You're really not going to see a huge difference between the expensive cold air and the cheap cold air intake. So that's my list of top 5 eBay parts. And like I said, keep in mind, you know, when you buy a name brand part, it's going to come with that warranty, it's going to come with the tech support, it's going to come with the backing and all that stuff. So, you know, if you can afford it, always buy name brand parts. It's just better for your car in general. However, if you're on a tight budget, which a lot of us are, it's okay to buy a few things off of eBay here and there to save you a little bit of money. You can then allocate somewhere else in your bill. So guys, that's my video for today. Make sure to leave me a comment in the comment section down below. I've been enjoying all the comments that I've been getting. They're very funny. If you could hit like and subscribe, thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm hoping that you all enjoy the new camera. I know I haven't done as many videos with it, but there's more to come. As always, I'm Rob telling you to enjoy your drive.